everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Whitney Bissell, and this is our daily show, bringing you all the latest movie news with insight into what it all means. Joining me as always is AMC Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the show, coming to you from the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California. A great place to do a show. We have fun here. And listen, I, every once in a while, like to share with you little stories of great personal triumphs, of which there are many, and huge highlights and why it's so great to be me. But I am also not afraid to tell you about all the really stupid things I do, and this one might take the cake. I'm sitting at home last night, watching some football, and I get a text from Dennis over here, who's editing my interview with Robert De Niro and Michael Douglas and Morgan Freeman and Kevin Kline. And he says, "Hey, do you realize you just totally snubbed Robert De Niro?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he sends me this video, and the picture is up here on the screen. That is a picture of me, we'll just call me idiot number one, with turning my back on Robert De Niro as he is trying to shake my hand. Never leave a brother hanging. And I totally turned my back and snubbed Robert De Niro. Not one of the proudest moments of my life. I'm an idiot. So there's always that.
Also joining us today is AMC Movie News Production Manager, Dennis Sin.
Not just leave a brother hanging. Don't leave Robert De Niro hanging. When I saw that, I was like, I hope there's like something after this video that like John goes back and shakes his hand and all this stuff, but
nope,
apparently not.
And last but not least, AMC News Editor Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Hey guys, John, I just want to let you know, if we don't see you for much longer, that it was great to know you. Yeah. And Whitney, so happy to have you on board. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Well, guys, with Star Wars Episode VII already in pre-production and set to go in full production in early 2014, a major shift in the film occurred last week as it was announced that Toy Story 3 and Academy Award-winning screenwriter Michael Arndt, who had previously been working on the project Star Wars Episode VII, is no longer on the project. Instead, Emperor Strikes Back and Raiders of the Lost Ark screenwriter Lawrence Kasdan and director J.J. Abrams will write the screenplay themselves. The announcement thanked Arndt for bringing them this far and revealed that the pre-production work was already well underway. Star Wars Episode VII will hit AMC theaters in 2015. John, as a major Star Wars fanatic, how does this news sit with you?
The first word that comes to mind is disconcerting. We are late in the game as far as pre-production goes. They're already putting this film together. They already have, I mean, the statement went out, they've already got their costumes designers working, they already got their set designers working, they've got everything coming together, they're putting this film together, and now it looks like they're going to be making big changes to the script. Now, Art had already completed a draft of this script, and so then they thanked him for, you know, all the work that he'd done right now. Now look, on the one hand, having J.J. and Larry Kasdan writing a Star Wars script, Kasdan, who wrote Empire Strikes Back, who wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark, this guy understands the Star Wars universe. That's great. Having J.J. with his New World sensibilities, that's all great. But, you know, Arndt is an Academy Award-winning writer, and I love Toy Story 3 and all the films that he's done, so it's disconcerting. However, I will say this. On the positive side, I already mentioned that Kasdan doing it and JJ doing it is great, but on the other positive side, I got to admit, I was really excited about Oblivion hitting theaters because Arndt wrote Oblivion, the Tom Cruise movie that was just out recently, and I was really anxious to see how he would do with a live-action sci-fi film. I wasn't impressed. I didn't like Oblivion all that much. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I was not a fan of it, which made me a little bit nervous about Star Wars. So overall, makes me nervous that they're making a change this significant this late in the game. But on the positive side, it's JJ, it's Kasdan, and I wasn't really thrilled with what Arndt did on Oblivion. Dennis, what do you think about this shift?
As far as Oblivion's concerned, I liked it. I mean, it was predictable. You kind of knew what was going to happen. I think that was my biggest complaint. With this shift, if in the beginning they had announced that J.J. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan were going to do the script right from the beginning, I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm excited. The fact that it's so late in the game that they're doing this, it is a bit concerning. Also, I just think that they're saying that they're thanking him for his hard work and stuff. I don't know if it's quite as amicable as they're saying. You know what I mean? It's like, well, yeah, you did a lot of hard work, but we're going to take over now.
It's like when a celebrity Hollywood couple are getting divorced and they say, but we remain friends.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you don't.
So,
we know you don't.
Yeah, I don't know if that part is true.
Amy Rose?
Yeah, my first reaction is definitely, uh-oh, because Little Miss Sunshine, Toy Story 3, this guy can write. And Oblivion, sure, it was more visually stunning than a solid film overall, kind of like Tron Legacy. But I do really still think he's got it, and he's so talented, especially with characters, which is what Star Wars is such an amazing universe because of that, one of the many reasons. So at first I was a little worried, but Kasdan's done it. I mean, he has. He has created, he's part of this universe, one of the best of the franchise in my opinion. So I definitely am not too worried about it. And JJ, I really like what you said about say it again, phrase it perfectly. The New World Sensibilities. I really like that because I do think that's what JJ does with, Star Trek and now moving over to Star Wars. I do think that he really does make us, feel like this universe is the one that we grew up with, but he also brings it to this generation. And I think that those two together are going to be great. I just hope that Kasdan still got it,
Yeah, and I'm just going to be wondering now, when I watch the movie for the first time, how much of the movie are we going to see is based on what Arndt had already done?
Exactly.
Because obviously they can't be starting this from scratch.
No.
They're already in pre-production.
It's too late.
And it's too late.
Yeah.
And a lot of what he had written was probably under JJ's direction, saying this is where we need to go. So I don't know if how big of a rewrite this is going to be. Is this just touching it up, or is this like taking the main theme and then renovating the rest of it? We're going to have to wait and see till after the movie comes out. All right, what do we got next?
Right, the final official Hunger Games Catching Fire trailer has hit the web, and you can see it in the video description below. The film begins as Katniss Everdeen has returned home safe after winning the 74th annual Hunger Games, along with fellow tribute Peeta Mellark. Winning means that they must turn around and leave their family and close friends, embarking on a victor's tour of the districts. Along the way, Katniss senses that there may be a rebellion simmering, but the capital is still very much in control as President Snow prepares the 75th annual Hunger Games, the Quarter Quell, a competition that could change Panem forever. Hunger Games Catching Fire opens in AMC theaters everywhere on November 22nd. Amy Rose, what do you think of the new trailer?
Now that's a trailer. I loved this trailer. I thought, the thing with trailers, a lot of the times they frame it as a new trailer, but it's only like an additional scene. But this actually showed us a bunch more of this crazy, for those that did not read the book, I mean, just going off the synopsis that you do know, they're back in the battle, and I mean, Katniss looks great, all of them. I love that scene at the end where she's seeing all, the crazy things that aren't really there, and Peeta's screaming at her, it's not real. I just think it looks great. It looks really rich. The CGI is gorgeous. It looks really seamless. It's very dark and gritty, and I think Francis Lawrence at the helm is a really good move. From all the visuals that I've seen, it looks, I was a little worried because this book it was definitely, the first book was my favorite by a mile, and I feel like it just kind of went a little bit downhill, but it was still a very, very strong series overall. But this has so many difficult images to bring to life that I was very worried about it, that it would be cheesy. I mean, the actual arena itself, again, I don't want to reveal too much, but it's very difficult to make it look cohesive and realistic because it is very from a different world. And I think they nailed it just from the little glimmers that I saw. So I could not be more excited about this. Love me some Jennifer Lawrence. She's just as cool as it gets. And yeah, I'm excited. Philip Seymour Hoffman, a lot of amazing actors joining the ranks, and it's a really great world. I'm really excited to go back.
I really don't like this trailer
Come
at all.
on, John.
I don't. Especially, you know what? I think this might have been an okay as the first teaser trailer to come out, but as your final trailer, I know. I didn't like it. It was just a bunch of random images. That's all it really was to me, so I didn't like it at all. But the one thing I will say that I did like about the trailer, this addresses one of the problems I had with the first Hunger Games. The first Hunger Games film, which I liked overall, I did. I liked it quite a bit. But to me, it felt very small in scale. Like even when they were coming in and they have their costumes on fire in the first film, even that to me felt small. This didn't feel like a worldwide situation to me. It felt very local and very small. The one thing I'll say about this trailer, as much as I didn't really like it, it does address that issue, because now this Hunger Games world, to me, because of this last trailer, it feels global. It feels big. It feels like there are real worldwide implications to the events in the film. Whereas the first movie didn't do that for me, this trailer seems to suggest to me that it will feel that way. The trailer did a good job of that. So I'm not a fan of the trailer overall, but it does address one of the major concerns I had for it, so that's got to be a thumbs up. Dennis?
I like the trailer. It is short. It's only a minute long, which for a final trailer I think is odd. Usually, they have a whole 2.5-minute trailer. Yeah. I like the first Hunger Games, especially the first half. I thought the second half was a bit weaker. Yeah. But it looks like the tone and the look are consistent with the first one, which was what I was worried about, because Gary Ross did the first one. Now we have Francis Lawrence doing the second one. But overall, I'm looking forward to it.
And the rebellion's coming, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a fun film. All right, folks, listen, we've reached that part of the show called Buy and Sell. Now, here's how this works. In front of her, Whitney has a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then Amy Rose, Dennis, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Whitney, what do we got?
Right, last week it was announced that Star Trek star Chris Pine would be taking on the villain role in the upcoming comedy Horrible Bosses 2. Pine was to play one half of the villainous father-son duo, and now we know who will play the father. Two-time Academy Award-winning Christoph Waltz. Waltz was previously attached but had to back out and is now officially on the cast. Horrible Bosses 2 hit AMC theaters on November 26, 2014. Dennis, buy or sell Waltz joining Horrible Bosses 2?
I buy it. I love Christoph Waltz. I think he would fit well in this role. It's funny, though, because I didn't really care that much for the first Horrible Bosses. I don't think it was a bad movie. It just wasn't as funny as I thought it was going to be. But for some reason, I'm looking forward to Horrible Bosses 2. Maybe it's because I like the concept of what it is, and I like the cast, and this casting of Christoph Waltz just adds another dimension to it. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Amy Rose?
Waltz can do anything for me. Bye. I love this man, and even in like Waterfall Elephants, we know that he creates magic with Quentin Tarantino. We know that. He's won 2 Academy Awards for it now, and well deserved. He's such an amazing character actor. But he was really good in like Waterfall Elephants. That movie to me wasn't as good of an adaptation as the book, which happens very frequently, but he was still really good and evil and great. And I did like Horrible Bosses. The first time I saw it, I was a little disappointed because it wasn't packed with as much punch as I thought. And then it was the kind of movie that I watched again, and I really found the humor in it because it is a little more dry and subtle, and their chemistry with the tripod of Sudeikis and Bateman and Day is so good, and Jennifer Aniston, those are the roles she should be doing, and I think Chris Pine and Waltz together as a duo is going to be fantastic. So I love me some Waltz, and I am actually more excited for this film than I was the first 2.
Yeah, for me, this is absolutely buy. I am the guy on this table. I loved the first time I saw it. I love the first Horrible Bosses. Christoph Waltz is impeccable. Now, obviously, he's got his 2 films that he's won Academy Awards for. We know how genius he is in that. Waterfall Elephants was also one very strong. But look, even when he's in bad films, okay? Green Hornet, which is a bad film, but I got to admit, I liked it. I like Green Hornet. I did, but it's a bad film. I won't deny it. But even in that, when he's on screen, it's watchable. And then one of the worst films of the past decade, maybe of all time in the history of cinema, is that most recent Three Musketeers film that they did. My God, that was horrible. And Christoph Waltz playing the Cardinal, when he's on screen, the movie's watchable.
You can't take your eyes off him.
When you got an actor who is so good that he can be in a total piece of trash movie and make it, okay, I didn't waste my money coming to this. That's the sign of a great actor. He's one of them. You're right, with father and son pairing with Pine as the villains, I'm so excited. I think him and Pine are going to play off each other so well. Really excited. So for me, it's a buy.
Well, we know that Independence Day 2 is set to hit AMC theaters on July 3rd, 2015. But no one knows if Will Smith will be in it or not. Apparently, director Roland Emmerich is prepared, as he revealed that they have developed 2 different versions of the script, one with Smith's character and one without, and are ready to shoot with either. John, buy or sell Emmerich having 2 scripts for Independence Day 2?
Buy it. This is being prepared. Always be prepared. I'm totally good. Look, I'm looking forward to Independence Day 2. I'm totally good if Will Smith is there. I'm a fan of Will Smith. But I'm also completely a fan of not just caving in to actors' demands just because they want it. And if they don't want to go with Will Smith, I'm totally good with them not doing it with Will Smith. Emmerich's got to be ready. I love the fact that they've got 2 separate scripts ready to go. They're ready to shoot. And mean, really, let's not overplay this. The main plot and the storyline of the film isn't going to be changed at all whether one character is there or not. The star of this film is aliens invading Earth. It's not going to be Will Smith or Bill Pullman or whatever, as much as we love all these guys. Yeah, I think this is great preparedness, having 2 scripts. For me, it's a buy. Dennis?
I buy it as well because, yeah, they are being prepared and they're being safe. I also think that the script is... they're not going to be too different from each other. These 2 different versions. I think there's probably a character, Will Smith's character, in the one that they want with him, and there's probably another one with a character that's very similar to Will Smith's character, but it's not the same name.
His name's Billy.
Yeah, they just change around a few, minor details here and there, and they'll just plop that in because they have to worry about the budget. I mean, they're doing pre-production, so they need to know they can't change the whole thing because the budget will change. So
yes.
I'm pretty sure it's very, very similar.
Amy Rose?
I'm gonna sell it. This is getting ridiculous. Are you in or are you out? Period. Like, I really hope that Will Smith is in because I do love him as an actor, and sure, maybe he's demanding Trump money, but I really do love him as an actor, and he's very likable, and this is one of the biggest franchises that made people really recognize him. And
absolutely.
So I do hope he's in, but it's at this point that we keep watching this and Roland's like, he's too much of a marquee name, we don't need him. Well, actually, he's interested, so now we're interested. Like, just... kiss and make up. Are you in the movie or are you out of the movie? Sure, I admire that he's prepared for either situation, but I think at this point it's are you in or out? So I'm selling it.
All right, what's next?
A remake of the classic film Ben-Hur is underway. MGM had previously announced that wanted director Timur Bekmambetov will helm the project, and now it has been announced that 12 Years a Slave screenwriter John Ridley will write the film. Ben-Hur follows the life of Judah Ben-Hur, a Jewish prince sold into slavery, who then vows revenge against his former friend responsible for his suffering. Amy Rose, buy or sell this remake of Ben-Hur?
I'm selling 2 in a row, my friends. I loved Wanted. I actually did. I thought it was a really cool tone and really surprised me. And 12 Years a Slave stole my heart out of my chest. Really great film. But Charlton Heston, no, we don't need to remake this movie. It's just really unnecessary. So I'm getting a little burnt out of remaking all these classics. So for now, it's a sell.
Dennis?
I'm going to have to sell it as well. Wanted, I had mixed feelings about. There's things I liked about it, but there's also other things in there I didn't care for. But this is, I'm not against remakes, but this is a classic film that won 11 Academy Awards, and they said that record held it all the way until Titanic. And then after that, it was Return of the King.
Yeah, so it's a tie. It's still tied for #1.
Yeah, so there's a lot to live up to, and I don't think, at least based off what I've seen from Timur, I don't think he's the one to do it.
I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy it enthusiastically. Timur, I loved Wanted, but would I have thought the director of Wanted doing Ben-Hur? I may not have put those 2 pieces of the puzzle together, but I mean, at the same time, the script for 12 Years a Slave is brilliant. And look, the thing about Ben-Hur is, look, everybody knows Star Wars is my movie. That is my earliest childhood memory. It's what made me fall in love with movies. It is to this day my all-time favorite series of films, not including the prequels that don't exist. Aside from that, though, Ben-Hur is the movie that made me want to make movies. Ben-Hur is such a brilliant story, and if you've ever seen the original, and I know most of you have not, but if you have, you cannot help but be entrenched. It epitomizes what old classic great Hollywood storytelling is, because you feel, as you know, in those old movies a lot of times they hokied it up a bit because they brought stage mentalities to it where you got to overplay it a lot, and they did those films. But in spite of that, I've never had a film where I felt the rage that the character feels, or the outrage, or the shock, or whatever. This movie is flat out brilliant, and the fact of the matter is, yeah, it's a classic, but nobody's seen it. Nobody watches it. And so it's going to sit unwatched forever. But if we can get more people exposed to the story and the brilliant story that is Ben-Hur by remaking it, I think that's great. And if it sucks, whatever. We always got the original, but I'm for this. I'm really excited about them doing Ben-Hur.
Horror writer Clive Barker has announced that he will be developing and writing a remake of his own horror classic Hellraiser for Dimension Pictures. Barker described his new project as going back to the original film and telling the story with a fresh intensity, honoring the structure and designs from the first incarnation, but hopefully creating an even darker and richer film. Barker also announced that he would be bringing original Pinhead actor Doug Bradley back to the iconic role. Dennis, buy or sell Barker remaking Hellraiser?
I buy it. It's a classic horror franchise that I think today's audience, especially the younger people, haven't seen before or even know about. I mean, for us, like growing, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. We all knew Hellraiser, we all knew Pinhead, but I think this new generation probably has no idea who that is.
Hey, Rose?
Yeah, I, again, was a little skeptical, but because it's the original creator and writer and the actor, I am on board as well, because I like that approach of making it darker for this generation and really, adopting all the technological advancements and everything that they did not have available to them then to make it more modern and still keep true to the original story. So yeah, it's a buy.
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to sell it pretty hard. And actually, one of the reasons is, you mentioned the technological advances. When I went back and I actually started reading the interview, one of the things that Barker said is like, and we're not going to use CGI. I'm a big fan of original, practical effects. Okay, so let me get this straight. We got this old film. Everybody knows I'm totally good with remakes. But we got this original film, and you're just going to get the same writer, the same director, the same star. You're not going to take advantage of modern technology. What's the point? What's the point? I mean, I love Hellraiser, but if it's not going to be a fresh take with new eyes and a fresh perspective with new people doing it, then honestly, I like remakes. But what's the point? It's the same actor, it's the same writer, it's the same tone, it's based on the same story, no new visual effects. But I'm at a loss. What is the point?
The lens can still be sharper.
It can
the
be,
makeup can still be better.
Much better makeup. You're absolutely right on that. Yeah, so for me, it's a sell. Hey, listen, folks, there are a whole bunch of other items in the world of movie news today, and we don't have time to go into all of them in detail, but we do want to make sure that you guys are caught up to speed with what's happening in the world of movies. So this is a little segment that we call the News Roundup.
Millennium Films, the company behind The Expendables and The Expendables 2, is hard at work developing a spin-off titled Expendables, get it, as in bells, and are in negotiations with Meryl Streep, Cameron Diaz, and Milla Jovovich to star in the female action flick. Millennium is also currently looking for a female director to helm the film. Millennium hopes to have Expendables in theaters by 2015.
That's awesome. For years now, filmmaker Kevin Takarawan, I'm always mispronouncing his name, has been valiantly trying to bring a Mortal Kombat reboot to the big screen. He's developed 2 seasons of a well-received Mortal Kombat web series that he was hoping to springboard into a feature film. However, it looks like he's now done with the franchise, as he took to his Twitter account and announced the following. After 3 years of combat, I've decided to move on to other creative opportunities. I wish everyone involved in the movie big success. Thanks.
Last week, Bruce Campbell, All Hail the King, got everyone to talk when he said they were making an Army of Darkness 2. Many people didn't know if they should take Campbell seriously or not, but apparently he was being serious. This week, Evil Dead remake director Fede Alvarez took to his Twitter account to say that the original Army of Darkness director, Sam Raimi, is indeed directing Army of Darkness 2. Woo!
After holding the #1 spot at the box office for 3 consecutive weeks, something that does not happen very often, Gravity was finally bumped from the top spot by new #1 movie, Bad Grandpa. Gravity took the #2 spot with Captain Phillips in 3rd, the new film The Counselor coming in at #4, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 rounding out the top 5.
It's been announced that Guillermo del Toro's new film, Crimson Peak, will begin shooting in February 2014. The film will star Charlie Hunnam, Tom Hiddleston, Jessica Chastain, Mia Wasikowska, and Del Toro described the new film like this. Crimson Peak is much, much, much smaller movie, completely character-driven. It's an adult movie, a rated R movie, pretty adult, shockingly different from anything I've done in the English language. Normally when I go to a movie in America for the spectacle and younger audience, for Blade or whatever, this movie's tone is scary, and it's the first time I get to do a movie more akin to what I do in the Spanish movies.
It's been reported that Rachel McAdams, a good Canadian girl by the way, will replace Reese Witherspoon to star with Keanu Reeves in the upcoming sci-fi film Passengers. Set in the future, Passengers centers on Jim Preston, played by Reeves, a mechanic on a 120-year journey to a distant colonized planet in another galaxy, who becomes the very first traveler to experience pod hibernation failure, having woken up 100 years too soon. A year into his journey alone, he decides to wake up a fellow passenger, thanks a lot, buddy, a beautiful journalist named Aurora. They fall in love, but must soon deal with not only the revelation of Jim's misjudged act of waking her up, but a major malfunction of the ship itself.
The new Chris Pine film, Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit, has a new opening date and will hit AMC theaters everywhere on January 17th. The film was originally slated to open on Christmas Day, but rumors suggest it was bumped from the spot to make way for the upcoming Martin Scorsese film, The Wolf of Wall Street.
Speaking of date changes, another film that was supposed to open on Christmas Day was George Clooney's new film, Monuments Men. However, with post-production work on the film being way behind schedule, the film has been bumped and will now be in AMC theaters everywhere on February 7th. And that will do it for your news roundup. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show called Mailbag. Look, if you've got a topic or a question you would like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. We get over 1,000 emails a week. We have time to get to just a couple. So right now we've got one pulled out. So Whitney, what's in the mailbag?
Right, Cody Henderson writes, "Hey AMC, I have a question for you. Do you think after the Hobbit trilogy is over, Peter Jackson will want to direct a film version of The Silmarillion? If not, who do you think would direct it? Would Peter Jackson give ideas for the script or anything? Thanks, and bring on the filthy."
You know, we might have addressed this question once about 6 or 7 or 8 months ago. I'm not really sure. The Silmarillion is, for those of you who don't know, it's J.R.R. Tolkien. It's in the same universe and world as The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but takes place millennia before the events of Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, like right from the creation of the worlds there. The Silmarillion is also very different in the sense that it was never written as a book. J.R.R. never sat down and wrote this book called The Silmarillion. Never did it. But what he did was he had like a bunch of different stories that after his passing, his son came, kind of took, edited together, filled in some of the gaps and made a story out of it. I don't think, I've said this before and I still believe it, I don't think we're ever going to see this turned into a film. And there's two major reasons why. Number one, the audience knows and loves, there's a huge following of Lord of the Rings. A lot of people have read Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Not many people have read the Silmarillion. They just haven't. I mean, I don't know anybody in my circle of friends that has. I mean, I'm one of the only guys that has. So you take that aside, okay, fine. You can still do The Hobbit because The Hobbit, their philosophy in making the Hobbit films is they're bringing a lot of the familiar faces back in that fans can jump up and down about, being excited about. We've got Legolas coming back. Legolas ain't in The Hobbit. He is now because it's going to attract more people and carry over that energy enthusiasm. You simply don't have that with the Silmarillion. It's just way too far back. I mean, if you're interested in the prequel, how did Sauron become so evil? Well, then maybe this is for you. But I don't think there's enough people who number one, know the source material. I think it's a very convoluted, and convoluted, I don't use that as a bad term. It's a very complex tome as you sit down and read it. That would be a really difficult one to bring to the big screen. So for all those reasons more, no, I don't think they're ever going to do it, actually. And I think Peter Jackson, at this point, is very happy to walk away from Middle-earth. He wasn't even supposed to direct the Hobbit films. That was going to be Guillermo del Toro, because I think he said, okay, I've done my bit for this world of Middle-earth. I'm going to produce them right now. But then del Toro had to move on, so Jackson stepped in to direct them. But I think he's ready to be finished, and good on him. I think he's ready to be finished with Middle-earth after the Hobbits are done. Anyway, Amy Rose, how do you see this?
I think you summed it up pretty well because the thing that I love, I mean, I love Middle-earth. I love that this world that he's created. It's so rich and beautiful, and I really do love these films, and The Hobbit as well. I know a lot of people were slightly disappointed with that film, but
yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I did love the Lord of the Rings trilogy more, but I still loved it. It still returned me to this realm that I love so much. So, a big fan, but I don't think it's necessary for most of the reasons you pointed out. Gandalf the Grey, I mean, with all these characters that maybe to see the origin, it should have been done first to actually build interest and then kind of go the way it was intended. And no, I haven't read it either. So, but I don't think it's necessary. And honestly, like as much as I'm really looking forward to the next 2 installments, I do want to see Peter Jackson leave Middle-earth after that and try something else because I do think he's a really great filmmaker, and I would like to see what else is up his sleeve. So for those reasons, but I'm really excited for The Dissolution of Smaug. Really excited.
Dennis?
Yeah, I don't think Peter Jackson is going to want to do it. I mean, he's done so much. I mean, think about that, a trilogy and then another trilogy.
Yeah.
That's a long time for a director to be working on one property. So I think he's over it. And like you said, he wasn't even supposed to do The Hobbit.
Yeah.
He just, because he loves it so much, he didn't want to see it, you know, fall away. And Guillermo del Toro needed to go do other things. And as far as the studio is concerned, I think they would probably want to make a movie just because it'll make some money.
It'll still make money.
It'll still make money. Not as much as, you know, Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, but it'd still make some money. So maybe they'll find a different director to do it, but it's not going to be Peter Jackson.
And it's such a huge production. It's not like these are cheap films
Oh,
to make.
no.
So
No.
Yeah.
it's not like they would just throw this together, you know?
Oh,
So-
they'll throw the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit name right before
Exactly.
it. It'll be
Yeah.
like Lord of the Rings, you know, colon, the Silmarillion.
Yeah,
or something
and Peter
like that.
Jackson will produce it, but not
Yes.
direct it or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, but I just don't see them doing it at all for all those reasons you guys expressed and more. All right, folks. Well, listen, that will do for us. But look, before we do anything else, I want to remind you guys, for those of you who live in the Los Angeles area, this coming Friday, I believe that's November 1st. Yes, yes.
Crazy.
This coming Friday, November 1st, we are going to be at the LA Convention Center at the annual Stan Lee's Kamikaze. That's going to be a lot of fun. At 3:30 in the afternoon, we're going to be on the main stage doing an AMC Movie Talk panel, just talking all about comic book movies. And I don't think we said it on the show before, but we are really excited because we just happen to have a really great moderator for our panel. And that moderator is Sif herself
Lady Sif.
from Thor: The Dark World. Miss Jamie Alexander is going to actually be there to be our moderator for that. It's going to be a lot of fun, so please make sure you come down. If you're in the LA area, come on down to the LA Convention Center to Kamikaze. We're going to be on the main stage 3:30. We hope that you can make us. Make us? Make it too. Listen, and also, if you're not a subscriber yet, make sure you take a second and click on the subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. Keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, and of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show and our weekend AMC Mailbag show. I want to thank those who are joining me today. First of all, sitting to my immediate right, he is the production manager for AMC Movie News, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or on YouTube, ThinkHero Pro. And I want to thank all the positive comments that me and Amy Rose got
Tons
over the
of
weekend
positive energy.
for a mailbag.
Sitting next to him, of course, is our editor of movie news here at AMC Movie News, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach. Amy Rose, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Amy Rosie, and yes, thank you for the love. I had the flu. It was early in the morning. Give us a break. And thank you, Whitney. We're so happy to have you here.
Yes, and of course we want to thank the newest person in our rotation here, Miss Whitney Bissell, who is sitting over there in the host chair. And of course, Chris Lee is off in New York right now covering some junkets for us. But welcome, Whitney. And where can people find you on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at Whitney Bissell, and thank you for having me, guys.
And of course, most of all, thank you to you guys. There is no show without you. So thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's John Campia. You can find me on the various social networks just at John Campia. Until next time, for AMC Movie News, and until then, bye-bye.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.